Welcome today, and I've got a very special treat for you. It's the holiday season, and we're thinking about those family meals, family coming over. And sometimes we want to get out of the old humdrum routine of doing the same thing every year. You're going to have to try this recipe today. It's a combination of our great Mississippi sweet potatoes along with some Idaho russet potatoes. And we're going to combine those two together with some caramelized onions and some spices and seasonings and lots of butter. And we're going to make one of the most amazing, easy potato dishes you can imagine. We're going to put it together and we're going to come back and tell you all about it. Alrighty, the first step is we want to prepare our potatoes, and that's a very simple process. Just be very careful. You need a good sharp knife. We have our sweet potato here. And what I like to do is take that round sweet potato and don't try to cut it that way. Get a good grip on your knife. Trim off just a little sliver right there on the bottom to make a flat surface. And see how stable that is? It's not going to move on me. I'm going to take the heavy part of my knife, the working horse of the knife, take these out of the way. Our goal is to get about a 1/4 inch cut just like that, as consistently as we can. Now, what I like to do is put that tip down on the board and then put my claw here to guide my hand down, find about a 1/4 inch, and I don't need to do this in a hurry, and just go straight down until I get all the way through the potato. So that's our sweet potato, nice consistently cut. Now, if you have a mandolin, which is right here, and I'm not going to use it today, and these things are very sharp. I've seen a lot of people cut their hands with these and their fingers very seriously. Very dangerous tool and should be only used by experienced people. And a mandolin's wonderful because you're going to have a consistent cut. We're going to go ahead and cut our russet potato, slice it on the side, get a flat edge on it. And we're going to, it's a little bigger potato, so it's going to take a little thick there. We're going to take a little more work on our part. And it's ideal if you can find the little potatoes that aren't as large in diameter. It's a little easier for you. So there we go, we've cut those and we've got a big stack of those, and be sure to put those down in some cold water while you're working because we're not going to cook those right away. You don't want these to oxidize and turn brown and dark. It would ruin, not look pretty in your dish. The second step is one I really like. It's caramelizing the onions. We're going to get a lot of aroma in here, and I think I have a video somewhere on YouTube about caramelizing onions. If you haven't done that, if you don't know how to do it, really important because it really brings a lot of depth and flavor to dishes that we cook, and it's so easy. So I have a fat over here. I just happen to always have clarified butter in my kitchen. We'll do a video on that soon, how to clarify butter. You'll love that. But I'm going to use clarified butter today because it has a high smoke point, but we're not going to cook these really on a high heat. I've got this on a kind of a medium, just heating up. Now I'm going to turn it down. But you can use vegetable oil, olive oil, just any kind of a good fat to caramelize your onions. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. It's already nice and hot. Can't ever have too much butter. Turn that down a tad. And this is kind of a simple little thing here. We've already did a julienne cut on the onions, kind of small. Two things we're going to do here. We're going to caramelize these. It's going to take a little while. We don't want to rush this process. After they cook down a little bit, I have some very fresh garlic. Actually just came out of the garden. And we're going to kind of roast that in with these onions. We're going to put them in the pan, let them cook and get all that flavor bursting out of them. And then in a little while, after these cook, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of kosher salt on it, because that's going to help sweat out the onions a little more and draw some of that moisture out. But we want to cook these until they get that Maillard reaction where they're turning brown and all that sugar that's in the onions begins to caramelize, and that's where we're developing flavor. So what we're doing here, instead of just putting straight onions into the dish, we're building layers of flavor into the dish with the onions and with the garlic. Sometimes I wish I could invent a device so you could smell the aroma through the camera and through the YouTube channel. These have been cooking probably 4 or 5 minutes, and I haven't even stirred these. And whenever you caramelize onions, don't stand there with that nervous habit of stirring them. Just let them do their thing. Stir them every once in a while. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my garlic and we're going to throw in there. We're going to let that cook right in there with those onions. I will stir them up a little bit right now to kind of stir that garlic in there. These have been cooking about 10, 12 minutes or so, and you can see they've already started to caramelize a little bit. And I've left these on autopilot. I haven't fussed with them, I haven't messed with them, but stirred them one time when I put the garlic in. Now I'm going to put a little bit of kosher salt in there just to let them sweat out a bit. See that moisture and butter still down on the bottom? Look at those beautiful caramelized onions. That was about 4 onions that I cut there. I really wish I had made more now in retrospect. You can never have too many of those caramelized onions in your dish. So we're going to put this dish together. It's real easy. Get your little spray pan and your baking dish. I'm making a pretty big one today. So we're going to spray that, and we're just going to layer everything. Here we're going to start out with a layer of potatoes, sweet potatoes. You really need to cook it though right away after you make it because you don't want those potatoes to oxidize it all on you. 1/4-inch slices straight on across there. I'm going to take my caramelized onions and garlic and kind of sprinkle that throughout the dish here. I'm going to come on top of that, and remember these potatoes are going to soak up a lot of salt. We're going to put a little pepper there, a little salt over here. Hold it up here so you don't get everything in one place. And then of course the star of the flavor is the butter. We're going to put a couple pats of real butter, unsalted butter, right here, maybe 6 per layer. Ought to do it. Layer number 2, and we're just going to build this up until it's to the top. We're going to stick it into a preheated oven here, 400 degrees. It's probably going to take a good hour or better to cook. And if it starts to brown a little too much on top, just pull it out, put a piece of foil on top of it, and it'll be great. So let's go ahead and let me finish building the rest of this, and we'll come back and we're going to eat some delicious casserole. Alrighty, we have all of our layers. I have 3 layers of sweet potatoes, 3 layers of russet potatoes, 2 good layers of caramelized onions, and now for the bonus point here. I went out to my garden, fresh rosemary, just cut it up here. Remember that clarified butter we used to caramelize our onions? I've got a little bit left, and I'm gonna just take that. You don't have to use clarified butter, just use melted butter and get that a good coating right on top because you want all these potatoes to brown, and they're really not gonna brown properly unless they have a fat on them. And so we want that browning to occur on top. That's the reason we may have to keep an eye on this and cover it up if it gets a little too brown. But that's not only going to give browning, it's going to give flavor, and it's going to give that crispy, crunchy texture that we all like. Here's my fresh rosemary. Sprinkle that right around the top there. And you can work these into the dish down there in the layers if you want to. I just like to do it on top because it's a nice little garnish there. Here's some different herbs. You can put thyme, whatever. I really like using thyme. This is an assortment of just some herbs that I put together, and we're going to sprinkle those on here. The next bonus is this. This is grated Parmesan cheese. You say that's for spaghetti, man. Don't use it on the potato. I mean, this stuff's for everything. I've got a great recipe on catfish Allison. You've got to try it out. You can use it on fish. It's a wonderful recipe, and that's one of the main ingredients. So we're going to take that. We're going to give a pretty generous, you don't want to use shredded now because shredded will clump this up and make a mess. You need this dry grated Parmesan cheese like you put on your spaghetti. So don't make any substitutes there. We're going to put these in the oven, top rack, 400 degrees. We're going to come back and check these probably in about an hour. We're going to keep an eye on it though and make certain we're not burning the top. If we're burning the top, we're just going to cover it with the foil and keep on cooking until they're tender all the way through. So we're going to pull these out of here and check for tenderness. I've got my thermometer over here. I'm not checking the temperature of them, but that thermometer is really pointy and sharp. And I want to go through without any tension to it. And we're going to stick it right in the middle. And notice how that just Goes right through. In fact, it's perfectly cooked. Look how brown it is there and beautiful on the top. Here's a little pointer. Let it cool down a little bit before you cut it, because if you cut it while it's still really hot, it's just going to break into pieces. So maybe 20 minutes or so, leave it out of the oven just on a rack and let it cool before you cut into it. Then you can cut it like a lasagna in layers, pull it out, and it's going to make a beautiful, beautiful serving. But thanks for watching today. I appreciate you watching the channel, and hit the like, you know the routine, hit the like button, the subscribe button if you haven't already. But most importantly, above all those things, develop a passion for cooking. Not only love to cook, as I do every single day, I cook every single day of the week just about, but cook to love. And I'll see you next time.